Okay, good morning, sisters. Another short video here for 8th Day Dawning. We're just going to take a look at a couple of words. We're actually going to look at Shiloh and who that is. It's not this male Messiah. We don't really like the word Messiah. I think it's another term for the shepherdess that's going to come out of Joseph's blessings, which we've looked at. So it's really the female um, guide, what a shepherdess does. These words commander, dominant, king, lord, master, those are all words of oppression. It comes from males who likes that whole feel. And we know that that takes us right back to our false foundation, man wanting to play God. Those are all words of dominance over the female lord, who we know that they oppressed in all her flock, her children. So when I was just looking at this word, so this began to really interest me, so I really start looking at it. Tomorrow is my intention on writing all of my notes down for the transmigration of the soul video. I don't know how in depth it'll be. I'm hoping to get most of it done over the weekend, most of my notes and all the real important points that I'd like to hit on. For that video that I do intend on posting on April 8th. Hopefully I'll be able to do that. So right now we're just going to take a look at Isaiah 55, this chapter, and it was pulled up and now it's not, but that's okay. So Isaiah 55, we've looked at, and it was where you were to come to the water, you were to buy without purchasing power, without price, without cost. Doesn't mean the cost of blood. It's not talking about that. That's not what it's talking about. It was to believe the truth. That's what this is talking about in this chapter. And we did a video on this. So it says, come to my waters, drink freely. You buy without money, without price, without cost, not the cost of blood. Isaiah 4:4, I will wash the blood off of my daughters, is what it says. So there's a distinction to God between her sons and her daughters. A man cannot take on the daughter's blame. That's why we get the word Shiloh here, okay? So we're going to pull down here in Isaiah 55 to verse 4. And it says, behold, I have given him, no, it's a her. Behold, I have given her for a witness to the people, a leader and a commander. So these are really male terms. I'm not crazy over the terms. But she will become that in a military sense when he absolutely refuses to return back to the truthful covenant. And we see the men on the pulpit. We see these sons with these channels. And, they'll talk about truth. They don't talk about truth. Yeah, that's one thing they absolutely don't talk about is the truth, because the truth does not matter to them. What matters to them is their male idol. That's all that matters to them. The truth, reasoning out and making sense does not matter to these boys. It never did. Their father is Satan, the devil, which is the first Adam, your forefather, who was a devil from the beginning. He was an accuser from the beginning. These are his wicked sons, Baal, the descendants of Baal, that just this lie tickles their ears, and it also drips from their tongues like honey, or butter, but in their hearts is really drawn swords. They really do not want to have anything to do with the truth. They don't want to hear reasoning. They don't want to hear wisdom, because if they were true sons of God, her sons, then they would understand that, yes, God is a God of fairness, truth, and equity, and your God clearly is not. It's a lie. Along with what's called the harlot spirit, the wife that they're actually in covenant with, building this religious lie up and liar up. And that's the harlot in the heart called Babylon that you identify in Isaiah 47. So here we get this verse, Isaiah 55, verse 4. Behold, I have given her for a witness to the people, a leader and a commander to the people. So let's hit on this verse, and we're going to go in and we're going to look at those two words. We're going to look at witness, and we're going to look at leader or commander, which is the same word, I believe, here. So I do have them written down. So your first word, witness, is Strong's Hebrew 5707, right? It's contracted from the word UWD, ood. Concretely, we have 57, Strong's Hebrew 5707. A witness. Of course, they got it masculine because, women can't be witnesses. Interesting thing here, and I was going to save that for a little bit later, but we'll talk on it now. That in Isaiah, I believe it's 28 or 29, you'll get these priests who have got drunk on wine and then throws it back up and spews the vomit over the table. Now, when you go in and you look that word up, vomit, it's actually going to take you to the filth that the daughters are covered in. And I'm not sure that that's not in Isaiah 4 as well. 4:4, the filth, the blood and filth that are on her daughters. And that's the exact same word that's used to the vomit that the priests have spewed over the table after getting drunk on the admixture of religious lies, which is your Red Sea allegorical to the wine on the table that you drink and get drunk on and go to sleep in that. We get that in, he put strong drink to her lips, or put drink to her lips, and caused her to go to sleep in this religious lie on this admixture of doctrine so that he could expose her nakedness and make her play his harlot. And so we get the daughters covered in this same word that is vomit, which is also dung. And dung takes us back to Baal, which is another name of the Lord of dung, God, but which is also another name for your husband who wants to play Lord and God. Okay, so we've identified all that. So we have to have a female witness because a man cannot stand up for the female. He can't. He can't take her sins upon his head because he's not female. Get it? No man can die for you. Can't. So witness is contracted from ood, UWD, concretely, a witness, abstractly, testimony, specifically a recorder. Now, the scribes recorded the truth, supposedly. But we know that they really erred in their message and erred in their doctrine as man himself became his central focus of everything because he was creating his male God, which we see every kingdom doing in Daniel 2, which were ruled by kings, right, who were oppressors of the feminine. So we get a recorder, i.e. it says prince dash witness. No, not a prince. Principle. Your principles are your first fruit identified with Proverbs, witness, wisdom in Proverbs chapter, what is it? Chapter 8, 7 or 8. It says, therefore get understanding, and with all thy wisdom get understanding. Because wisdom is the principle, it will say. So you look the word principle up, which is what they want to stick here, why they cut off the end of it. Prince. They want you to focus on male. It's principles. And it tells you that the false principles of this world will burn with fervent heat. And that takes us back to these embers, right? Which is identified as future posterity of that Lord that left earth, which was the glory that left this earth. Before she leaves, she tosses out embers. She tells the seraphim or the cherub in Ezekiel chapter 7, I think it is, to go grab a handful of embers and to toss them out amongst the people. And those embers represent these daughters, right? Who is her future posterity that will be reborn out of the dust of the earth, and they turn into these fires amongst the people. And they begin to burn down the false principles, the false foundation stone that has a man as your Lord and God, which came from your husband, your dung god, Lord of dung, Baal. All right? So that's why we get the word prince here, witness. Your principles are your witnesses, reborn out of the dust of the earth. Who are these embers, these coals, and we get her burned to ashes. The sword was burned to ashes. In Psalm 68, we've looked at it multiple times, and she's surrounded by her head, which is a congregation of women. Yeah. Not her head, she's surrounded, this head is surrounded by her congregation of women. And it says she was burned to ashes. Why? Because the men did not want to receive the law off of her tongue. And over time, we see the daughters acquiescing. It says they were took captive in the betrothal. It says they surrendered in the betrothal, in the marriage covenant. This is the covenant that will be disannulled. And men say in Isaiah 28, with the womb of Sheol, that's basically what it should say, womb of Sheol, are we at agreement? And when the overflowing scourge, when the judge comes in to judge us, they're not going to be able to judge us because, number one, they've got no witnesses to testify against us that this is what we did. We hid when we did it. So there's no way they're going to know what we did from generation to generation to generation because they're coming along with us in these generations. They're being taught this religious lie. How are they going to know it? And so we get those who's in the know, this line of men, Baal at the top with their harlots, who actually has a lineage of knowing, it seems to be, although it says they forget and fall into their own snare. So you get this understanding that at some point they knew exactly what they were doing, why the line of the daughters that come through this particular line, all this information got hid from her. So then they say, well, there's no way that they can have a female witness or witnesses in the land testify against us because we hid when we did what we did and we hid it from their line. So there's no way that they can rise up out of the dust of the earth as these burning coals of ember that's going to turn into the fire and burn the false principles down. We get that in the book of Peter. Yeah, the elements will burn with fervent heat. That's your false principles built on a religious lie. Baal, your husband, as Lord and God, Daniel 2. Your idol of a man as your Lord and God. You are to have no idols, no forms of male or female before you. And you've got male forms all over the place, all over the place. And God says, you will be judged for that when my witnesses finally rises up in the land and testifies against you. And what's so amazing, what makes these daughters great daughters of wonder, that despite all the dirt and darkness that they have pulled over their eyes, they hid when they did it. They hid it from the daughters over time. That even despite all of the hidden religious work that went on behind the scenes, that these daughters are able to break it down. And in the end, they testify as the witnesses, the principal. Now, okay, I went through all that. So let's go back in and look at the commander, all right? The word commander and leader here, well, the word leader is a little different. So let's look at that. 5057. 5057, a leader, ruler, prince. Okay, so they're trying to put it all on a man. As your witness. Your witnesses in the end, testifying to the law of Moses. No, that's Baal testifying to his religious lies that those priests made under Babylonian captivity that fed out to the four corners of the world and made us daughters captives under a bitter law written by Baal, your husband, as Lord. And who's your head? I don't have a male head. I have a female head on a female body. Oh, there's a big elephant in the room. Better go look into that one. So here we have 5057. Excellent thing. Chief, governor, leader, noble. Principles, your chief rulers. These are your first fruits. These are your daughters. That's really what it's referencing. It's not referencing males. It's referencing females. Your nobles, your chief rulers, military or religiously. They're both in the end. Because I come not to bring a sword of peace. No. I come to bring a sword. I come to bring division. Now that sword turns into either a religious sword in the sense that you receive the laws of heaven through the daughter's mouth. You were to make no idol, but you were to walk in the way of God. Or it becomes a military sword able to cut you away. So that seems to be what we're looking at. So when we go into commander here, this is an interesting word. And I really believe it's referencing to the shepherdess Shiloh. That comes out of Joseph's blessings. We'll go in, but we'll read Judah as well, because that's where we're going to get it. But the shepherdess is stone they stop shepherding, because that's what Baal does. He centralizes himself in every story. That's what he does. And that's why it becomes a bitter law upon her system. On her neck. He rejected her law, which was a gently flowing law system of 10 commandments, basically. There does appear to be other that had to be made along the way, but again, it was upon the daughters to make these judgment calls, and they were not bought off. You could not buy these daughters off like you can men. You can buy them off quite easy. Of course, the women today can, because now they're bred under this law system of man, which has completely contaminated them. So they have to, this new branch of rulership has to come out of all that religious law. They're standing separate and apart. They're holy unto God, because they are not holding the harlot spirit's law upon their tongue, the Babylonian law system which came from man, and the harlot that willingly builds him up as Lord and God. So this branch comes away. She's known as Shiloh, this branch of women. Yeah. So the word for commander here in that verse, Isaiah 55:4, is to lay charge upon, give charge to, command, order, give charge, command, order, appoint, appointed, charged. That's a scary word, ain't it? Charging, commanding, commission, commit, gave a command to, gave them a charge. Let's go down here. Laid down, ordained, ordered, put, sent, set her in order, not his. Set you in order. Gave orders, command, given, issued a command. So let's go down some more here, beyond. So it's interesting to read all the notes. It really is. Messenger, send a messenger. Give in, send with. So this is set in order, right? So we get the Asaph, who is your gatherer, who is also akin to your Koheleth, your female assembler in Ecclesiastic 10, who assembles, we've discussed this, proverbs in order, right? Now, when we go here, so you get a messenger who is sent, put in order. The scary thing is, okay, so we'll connect the two. We'll go to Shiloh, which we're going to find in Genesis 49, and she's in Judah's blessing. She, not he. Men love to focus themselves, center themselves, the center of everything. They want to be the center of attention on everything. This is not getting attention either. This is about truth, establishing truth in the earth so that you don't get judged when the overflowing scourge comes in, that you do bear the mark of truth in your forehead, and that comes down to the doctrine that you believe. And that doctrine has to be based on the law system of God. It's not on an idol. Deuteronomy 4, you saw no image of me, you make no image of me, you were to make neither male nor female, but you were to follow the law system of God, which was to come off the daughter's tongue, which came from above, which was given covenant to man. Job says that in Job 30 or 31, I made a covenant with mine eyes. Why then should I think upon a maid, or one that I can make into a harlot? For what portion of God is there from above, the inheritance of the Almighty from on high? The daughters inside the nation of Israel was her inheritance, her personal inheritance. We know the law comes from the mother. The father was to exalt that law. In the earth, he becomes a corruption unto the daughters, who becomes the worm which is feeding on this corruption in the mother, which is feeding on father and son corruption, which is Baal, the Lord of dung. All right, we getting it? So this is what we get in Genesis 49:10. The scepter will not depart from Judah, nor the ruler's staff from between his feet, until she, not he, they stick that he pronoun there and again, until she to whom it belongs shall come, and the obedience of the nations shall be to her. So she is Asaph, the gatherer of these daughters, who is your burning embers of coal, which is the future posterity of their very own head, mother, who is known as the glory in the earth. So when we go in here, and the word to whom it belongs is actually translated as Shiloh. Now remember, Shiloh is in the territory of Ephraim. Ephraim was identified where born daughter. 788 Shiloh, right? Shiloh. And it means perhaps, this is what it means. It's got he whose it is. No, it's she whose it is. To whom it belongs to is how the name of Shiloh is rendered and what it means. To the one to whom it belongs to. Now, this is where we go back to Isaiah 55 in that verse 4. And we get that word, commander 6680. So, give a charge. Give in. Send with commander, send a messenger, put, set in order, or I charge you with. So when you start to take up the cause of the daughter for the daughters in the earth, you are actually then, it looks like, charged with all the same charges that she's had charged against her by the accusations of Adam, the fallen Adam, which is Satan the accuser. Okay, it leads us all back to Beelzebub. Baal means your husband, who's Lord of Dung, who has washed these daughters in filth, right? You're bathed in because he took charge of her water, which then becomes a pool that holds all the filth. Now, we discussed that in one of our videos too. How they cut off the upper pool where the daughters would wash the garment with the fuller soap. That's right. The men didn't want that because that meant she was writing the law in her house. She was in charge of the house of law, which is why the daughter, I made a covenant with mine eyes. Why then should think upon a maid? For what portion of God is there from above? The inheritance of the Almighty. She was sent to men to give him the law of heaven, so that he could live eternally. And he rejected that, and he stabbed her in the back. As the bulls of Bashan circling her to dismantle the behemoth, which is female, reference heifer, you weren't to have animal worship, but of course they transferred it all over time, a bull, and then Jesus, a man, Baal, Jesus, your head, and all this crap, right? This is how they went about doing it. We've studied it all. We've made our climb. So, you take on that charge, right? When you agree to come in, when you agree to stand up for that portion that has been accused. And God says in one verse, I hear no one calling out for justice in the earth. I hear no one pleading for truth or justice in the earth. Let's look that up. Right? And she's referring to the daughters. Where is one to take up the cause for the daughters, for the truth of the daughters? And that is why it stated the meaning of Shiloh, to the one to whom it belongs to. If you are willing to take up this cause, all right, and to make an investigation, an inquisition into why there is so much bloodshed, to ask these deeper questions, then you become charged with that charge in that case, and you take up the cause. Means you start to make the investigation, which is in why you become the branch called Shiloh, to the one to whom it belongs to the one to whom will take up the cause. So the verse here is, I hear no one calling out for, is it truth? What did I just say? Yeah, it's in Isaiah 59, verse 4. And she's referencing the door. No one makes claims justly. No one pleads honestly. They trust in empty and worthless words. You know what? Worthless? The sons of Belial. That's the sons of Baal. From generation to generation, who has handed off their worthless words of idol worship, which is why they think they will never get caught by the witnesses, the women, the daughters, the branch that comes forth. Worthless words, and they conceive trouble and they give birth to iniquity. Now that's also on the daughters, because we get the verse in Isaiah 26. We have, as it were, been with child. We have, as it were, brought forth wind. We have not we have not wrought a deliverance in the earth. We haven't. Because nobody has been able to make a righteous claim with just words or plead honestly their honest case because they're using his lies to do it with. They're using his idol, Jesus, to do it with. They are not seeking the truth and making an inquisition into why there is so much bloodshed, why she is under bondage of a bitter law system, and why he is playing God. No one makes claims justly. No one pleads honestly their case. They trust in empty and worthless words, and they conceive troubles, and they give birth to iniquity. We have, as it were, brought forth wind. You know what we discovered wind meant there in Isaiah 26? We had to go to the Strong's Greek word for it. It meant empty doctrines, lies from Baal, your husband. There it is right there. Isaiah 26:18. It's actually in your reference verses. We were with child, we writhed in pain, but we gave birth to wind. We have given no salvation to the earth, nor brought any life into this world. And you do it one way, through the truth, which is identified as the waters that were to come from the daughter's tongue, the law system. That's how. And it says, no one makes a claim justly, no one pleads honestly. None pleadeth in truth. That's why when you take up the charge, it says Shiloh. The branch will come forth, right? From between Judah's feet. Where is it? I guess I have the word up instead there. Yeah, Genesis 49:10. Right? It's interesting because you get Judah's blessing and then you get where she comes from in Joseph's blessings. But the men love to separate this, right? The scepter shall not depart from Judah, nor a lawgiver from between his feet until she. And we'll say Jesus, but it's really Joshua's words because the men of Baal used Jesus to create their idol of men as your head, and he's God and creator of everything. Your father gave life to everything. You denied your creator in the days of your youth. None pleads their cause with any truth or any justice. None do that. You use his lies to plead your cause with. Not going to be heard when that happens. So, but Jesus says, even Jesus says it. It says, when the Holy Spirit, when the Holy One shows up, he says, you can get away with blaspheming me. Blaspheme away. It's not going to condemn you. It's when she shows up with her law that you will be condemned when you choose not to follow it. It's not me that condemns you. My purpose, Joshua's purpose in the Old Testament, was to uphold her law, and he did so according to the Bible. He was the only man according to it. Now, whether we follow that as a truth, we have to believe that there will be those that come out and follow that truth of hers. And when she shows up with the law of God, which was the gently flowing waters of Shiloh, the 10 commandments of God. But she says, you make no image, neither male nor female. You are both equal in my eyes. And you have put a bitter law on my daughter's neck so you could play God and make her your harlot. That's what the Bible testifies to. So we get the commander who is given charge and command to set the case in order and to be the messenger to the people. Right? Who shall be able to stand before her when she comes with the fuller's soap? Well, the daughters were responsible for washing the garments in the upper pool known as the house in the forest of Lebanon, which we see kings like Solomon and Hezekiah tearing down, and it all comes down into that lower and dirty pool of filth. That's right. So there we go. So we have unto Shiloh, until Shiloh come, and unto her shall the gathering, Asaph your gatherer, who gathers the proverbs in order and sets the case in order with the truth. And that then she appears right here in Joseph's blessings. They shoot at her. Baal has sorely grieved her and shot at her and hated her. And we get the word hate. The Lord says, they hated me, they hated me, they hated me. And they dealt treacherously with me. They dealt treacherously with the spirit of the original covenant, Malachi 2. But her bow, her covenant, The messenger's covenant abode in strength, and the arms of her hands were made strong by the hands of the mighty God of not Jacob, Israel, her mother. From thence, that's the woman's seed. She's also the angel that Jacob wrestled with, stole her birthright so he could play God. He was all part of this. From thence is the shepherdess, the stone of Israel, which is also your branch Shiloh between Judah's feet. She is the firstborn daughter of the kingdom, and also the principal. That's right. And wisdom is the principal thing. That means your first fruits of the kingdom. So that's the video. It's a quick little video understanding why Shiloh means the one to whom it belongs to. The ones that are now calling for justice and truth and is actually pleading their cause with it. So let's read that verse one more time in Isaiah 59. Interestingly, I wasn't going to read this verse, and yet this has become our stone. So let's read the King James here right quick. What's the King James say? The King James says this: none calls for justice. We certainly know the men don't. None calleth for justice. They expect a woman to be under him. That's not pleading with truth. That's man's arrogance and the pride of Satan, Adam, their forefather, their father in the beginning, the father of lies. That's these men, right? None calleth for justice. Now the daughters are calling for justice. Nor any pleadeth for truth. We want the truth. You claim you have the truth. Well, God tells us the truth reasons. Your truth is not reasoning out. And then she tells the daughters, you denied your creator, your maker, your potter in the days of your youth. We see sons like Mordecai taking capture, really, the next generation of little girls and teaching them how to bow to a wicked king. Vashti refused to bow to a drunken king who was full of his own religious lies and doctrine, and he vomits it all over the table. In allegory, he actually vomits over the daughters this lie. And then we see this world, we see God's nose. And this world stinks to the high heavens to God. When the daughter comes forth, then we see in Song of Songs this column of smoke, of sweet smell to the Lord, because now she is pleading with truth. She is asking for justice and the truth of her covenant to be restored in the land. So none calleth for justice, nor any pleadeth for truth. They trust in vanity. That's male idols, and speak lies. They conceive mischief. This is actually the men doing this. Why now do I see every man standing around with his hands on his hips as if he can give life, and every face is turned pale? And bring forth iniquity. And that's what this religious lie has done. So let's just go in here briefly. I know, I was just going to read this and be done. We're just going to look at vanity here. They trust in empty words. I think that might be the one we're looking for, empty words. Let's go down here. And speak, and they conceive, and they bring forth iniquity. So it's either lies or empty words. 8414 is empty words. And it is formless, right? Confusion, unreal. That's why it's never been. It's a religious law and law system governing it, which makes it formless and void, right? It's in a chaotic state. From an unused root, meaning to lie waste to desolation. We're basically desolate. She has no children. It says, yet more are the children of the desolate spirit than of she who has a husband, Baal. These women who agree to it. But we also see men like Mordecai taking possession of the next generation of little girls and teaching them how to bow to a king as their Lord and God and head. And the decree gets made there by this wicked king and all his male advisors, 7 wicked male advisors, telling him, make a decree after what Vashti, that wicked woman who wouldn't bow to you, drunken king, wanting to drool over her and treat her like a harlot. Yeah. And yet her name means most excellent woman. Esther means Hadassah, which meant, what did Hadassah mean? I can't remember. But it leads us to myrtle, not myrrh. She that comes out of the wilderness smoking like a sweet smelling perfume to God above is drenched in frankincense and myrrh, not myrtle. Myrrh is bitterness of the law, which she comes away from. So he takes control of the next generation of little girls after we saw them murdering the wise women. And Lamentations 4 verse 1, you got to actually go in and pull up your words. You get your understanding that they were murdering the Holy One, these wise women, which then we see them weeping for in Jeremiah chapter 9. And it says, peace, peace, they say to the daughters when there is no peace under your religious lie and law, putting a yoke on her neck. Isaiah 52, come away, dear daughter of Zion, come away from his religious lie and law and take that yoke off of your neck that he has bound you with and take back your throne. It always was your right to write the laws which come directly from heaven. From an unused root to meaning lie waste, a desolation of surface, desert, a worthless thing, in vain, confusion, empty place, wilderness. So that's basically what earth is. It's considered a wilderness. We get the she-goat wandering in an inhabited place, meaning it does not have her spirit. It's uninhabited by Holy Spirit. Yet more the children of the desolate than a she who has a husband. So we look at empty words. Now we're going to go down here. Empty, vanity, 7723. So everything they teach us is empty and vain. It's all about man himself. We go down to the bottom here. What does it say? Worthless, false, falsely, lie, lying, vain, vanity, in the sense of desolating, evil as destruction, literal ruin, morally, especially guile. Figuratively, idolatry. You're in idol worship. As false, subjective, uselessness. As deceptive, objective, vain, vanity. So, what does it say in Lamentations 2, what is it, verse 14? These false prophets prophesied, they ran, yet I sent them not, and they have seen false burdens for the daughter of my people. That's right. Got to be washed in blood. No, you don't. You got to be washed in the laws of heaven. That's what gives you eternal life. Isaiah 4:4, I will wash the blood in filth. His lies, Baal's lies, the dung house, and my ruler, which is where this word commander 6680 actually takes us to. Yeah, I'm supposed to be done. Which takes us to, did I pull it up? That's Shiloh. We found it in, is that one? Okay, we found it in, this may take me back to it. Let me go. No. So we found it in Micah, of course, right? We've discussed this multiple times. Micah 5, parallel. It was verse 2. What does it say? Verse 2. It says this, but you, O Bethel Ephraim, house of Ephraim, who are small among the clans of Judah, there's not many of us out there. Out of you will come forth for me one to be ruler, commander, leader over Israel. So when we hit on that verse, we get the one who is ordained. And it's not David, as they like to stick in Isaiah 55. It was never David. Right? It's her. They only want to focus on male, male, male. He took her law from her, is what he did. He took her rights away from her. And her rights were ordained by the God of heaven. We get words in Revelations 4, I think. And it says, before anything else can come to pass, she has to come forth. Nothing else can come to pass without her. The one that's going to call for justice and truth and set the case in order, who is the messenger of the covenant with the fuller's soap and the fire, these burning embers, who is her future posterity, who is going to start burning with the truth. which will burn the false principles down and the lie, the princess down, who wants to play God. So when we go in here, but you, house of Ephraim, though you are small among the clans, out of you will come for me one who will be ruler over Israel, whose origins are from ancient times. So that means a long lineage, a long seed. These are these embers, her future posterity, her preserved ones, her strong ones. You have to be strong to come up out of a pile of dung after they've heaped and heaped lie upon lie upon lie upon your head. You've got to be strong to come out and away from that and to come to that truth. You become this branch separated. This truth ain't for everybody. Most of them wants that idol. They're too brainwashed to open their ears and their eyes and to listen. Their necks are too hard. They've hardened their arguments, they think, their stronghold full of lies is how they've strengthened it. So who's going forth? 4-1, 6-3, noun, feminine. It's a female descendant. It says descendant. It won't. Of family descent. See? Who's of old. Our descendancy comes from the very first daughters who were gave in covenant that man rejected. Our descendancy is proved by us taking up the cause. But again, you have that charge on you then. Once you do actually determine to take up this cause of truth and call out for it and the justice, then you get the charge on you of what he's making against you. You get this accusation coming against you. And so you cannot give up your cause. You have to continue with that message. You have to continue to fight your battle because he's the accuser accusing us. So we take up that charge. In a sense, we're charged with it, but we are also of that family descent from long ago that got accused falsely by the liar in the beginning who accused the woman, who is the woman's seed. That's right. So also a sewer. Yeah, the draft house. Going forth. That's Baal, the house of Baal, Lord of Dung, the liar, who coded us daughters in this religious lie. That's right. Come away, my daughter, from their lie. Buy the truth and sell it not. You are free. You don't need blood. You don't need his religious lies. You need to follow and walk in my way. Actually, you need to start standing up for the truth. And so we've discussed all of that. So there we go. There's our little video. We're going to post this on 8th Day Dawning just because I felt like making another video this morning. My hair needs a good wash. There's our, it's not so little, not so short. I was thinking 20 minutes maybe. That's what happens when you talk too long. So anyway, I think I'm going to be really starting to delve into writing my notes down for transmigration of the soul and start prepping for that video. So this will probably, I'm not going to say for sure, it will be the last one I post until April 8th. Who knows? You may end up with another video though. May the Lord bless you with an abundance of truth. I hope y'all have a lovely day and thanks for watching.